see what happens. All right, hopefully we're back. Uh, yeah, it looks like we're back. Okay, sorry about
Seems
that.
okay so
I
far.
lost connections. Uh, so I'm gonna wondering if I'm running anything in the background that's causing grief, but we'll sort that out later. Let's just go back to where we were, and I'm wondering what the last thing people heard was, because it's told me I dropped and we kept talking for a little bit there. So,
I don't know.
um,
Albinosaurus Jones, are you still out there? Can you tell us what you last heard?
he's still there. Um, but I think what we were talking about was the fact that Ben would come from two dimensions removed. That we have the material plane that has also the elemental plane surrounding it.
Hmm.
That's actually where magic comes from in Navyshla. And then we have the mirror dimension, whatever that's going to be called, because it's not going to be called the mirror dimension because this is not Doctor Strange, but it's
There.
it's going to be called something. And then there's a elemental one step removed from that as well, so it mirrors out as well. And so Ben is a guest of a guest or a visitor of a visitor on this
Hmm.
plane,
Yeah.
which would make you an aberration, I guess.
Well, and I think that works well for what I would like because I don't like the we have already established sort of in this world that the Manjin are rare
Yep.
and secretive. Um, and I think that the Shadow Manjin are more so.
Yeah.
That they'd be pretty prevalent in that shade realm, whatever that is, whatever we call
Whatever
that.
it call that. Yep.
Um, but even more rare here because we need to cross two planar thresholds to get here.
So let's figure out how Ben got to the material plane.
Yeah. Well, uh, I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah.
I'm open to spitballing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so what
wait.
I
Well, we can do that, or we can figure out. You had maybe some cultural things about where Ben comes from anyway to start off with. That might spark that.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
Or we can do whatever. You lead me. I'll follow you.
Um, well, we'll start, I guess, with a little bit of the cultural. So the other side of sort of the dark mirror of what Dusty did with the Air Engine being collectors of stories. They're sort of chroniclers of the age. The Shadow Manjin are collectors of secrets. They
Right.
want to know the things that people don't want them to know, uh, and uh,
Do you
and that's given even more credence when they can convince someone to tell them willingly the things that they don't really want others to know. So they're big on deception and coercion to obtain those secrets.
do you conceptualize that desire for secrets? Nope. That's a leading question. Let me back off, counsel. How do you conceptualize that need?
I think so. I would like to pull that back to the bifurcation of that entity,
Okay.
and actually the way we're setting up the two sort of mirrored realms, like the shade versus the material.
Yep.
Um, and I kind of like just calling it the shade, really.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll make a note.
I- is so the in the shade, because it's a mirror of the material, they're looking for sort of the opposite thing from what the air management are looking for. And so the air management are looking to chronicle the things that are happening and what they see and the stories that people want to tell.
Yeah.
And so the shadow management are trying to gain the things that people don't want to tell, but they want them to want to tell it anyway.
So so it's not great to just learn a secret. I mean, it's
Well, it is
good.
great.
It's good
It's
to learn a
good. We
secret,
we want that,
but it's
but
more
it's even better.
delicious when they give it to. So because I had this, so I'll do my leading thing. Is it like a hunger, like a thirst to learn other people's secrets? Is it just this? It the secret itself is got flavor. It's got a sustenance. It's got a I'm not saying that it's
Mm,
got a
But
game
I
mechanic. I'm
but I think not for me, but maybe for the queen.
okay.
And I would say that that might be what the air mansion are doing too to further
Yes.
their deity of air, is their stories are what gives that being life, and so our secrets give our being life.
The things that are not widely known. They're not in the light.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And being able to have you to come to this plane puts Ben in a unique position to gain secrets that other Shadow Engine aren't going to be privy to, which he definitely wants power, and knowledge is power, and he's going to gain it as well as he can here.
So it is the way you described that led me to perhaps, and it could be a fun little story thing to leave open to be filled in as things play out. To be like, Ben doesn't know how we got here.
I don't want to do that because I feel like that's sort of a cliche story element.
It is.
Um, I'd like to have I'd like to have him have a little more agency in it.
Okay.
Um, and so he found or was sent through a gate from the shadow, like the shadow elemental realm into the shade, and that's their first step. But while there, he discovered a way to pass into this realm, and that doesn't seem unheard of when we have like Chris's character has been between them,
Yep.
so there are ways to pass through.
Yes. He
Um,
he was
I
passed
think
he was passed through, much as you're describing.
I would like I would be totally fine with and would enjoy that he doesn't know how to go back.
Yeah.
But he found a way here himself. And because I'm playing so much with mirrors, maybe he traveled through a mirror to get here.
Oh my god, I've brought this up before. I will bring it up again. There's a movie that I saw on the Disney Channel in the 80s. It came out in the 70s called The Watcher in the Woods. And the most terrifying image I have ever seen is of a blindfolded girl trapped on the other side of a mirror that kids are trying to free. And she's screaming silently as she's pressing against the mirror. I have nightmares about that image still, so mirrors freak the shit out of me. Uh,
Well, that's great. Then
I
we'll run with
I think I
it.
totally think we should run with it. I love the idea. I'm gonna put that in my notes too.
So
Mirrors
I would say
can be
there's
portals.
probably an element of when Ben deals with mirrors of sort of checking to see if he can go if it's a gateway.
Sorry, I had to yell at the dog to stop barking.
That's
All right,
fair.
all right. So Ben is checking is the last thing I heard before Tasha freaked out and I had to tell her to knock it
Yeah.
off.
Um, like not actively, like he's not trying to open gateways in mirrors, but if when he comes across a mirror of a sufficient size, he does a little look to see if it's a gateway.
That phrase "of a sufficient size" makes me
Well, it would have to be big enough for him to pass through.
of sufficient size.
So like a hand mirror wouldn't work because Ben can't pass through a hand mirror. But like a dressing mirror or that sort of thing that is sufficiently door sized, that could be a gateway.
I will remember you said that. Size matters for traveling through.
But were Ben to at some point have a familiar, the familiar might be able to pass through a smaller mirror.
I'm just thinking like, and that just as like, mechanics where my brain's going. It might be fun to to mess with that. Like that's the rule. The rule is you have to be able to pass through the mirror. Miles, I'm streaming. What are you doing? Hi.
Lurking.
I'm just sitting here showing you this thing I got on Amazon while you're streaming and talking to other people. Yep, go.
It's a box.
It's an electric violin, so he's about to rock out upstairs
Yeah,
on
that
his
mysterious style.
violin. Yeah, yeah. So Chris Jones says hi, Miles. Anyway,
Chris Jones is also roller dogging.
he is roller dogging.
I'm not. I'm not sure that the roller dog is PC. I don't know.
I don't even know what it is. Maybe we share with me after the stream. All
It's
right.
disturbingly sexualizing.
It
However,
is actually a little bit. Dynadog. Is that a dinosaur? What is that?
I think it's maybe a dinosaur sock puppet.
Like Lambkin? Yeah, I am. I'm gonna have to stream from the camper in order to build it. Except I can't. The camper's in the shop. Uh, so anyway, all right. So
Cleaning out a mysterious smell in the camper.
his,
That's why it's in the shop.
yeah, yeah. Oh my god! And after the stream, I gotta tell you a story. Uh, um, but okay. So I'm sorry, I've lost track of what we were actually
We were talking about
doing.
mirrors.
We were talking about
How
mirrors,
Ben
and it would be
how
so fun to have it be not common knowledge on Navyshla that mirrors can be portals. Um, but there are rules for those who know that mirrors are
yeah.
portals, and what happens when those rules break down? That could be a lot of fun.
Well, and I think I would like to talk to Chris about this with what he thinks about mirrors being a sort of regular way that people pass to the shade.
Dirkle's watching tonight.
And I don't see him, but
Does not appear that Dirkles is watching tonight, but I'm sure he would have some interesting thoughts about that too.
and they don't need to be the sole way.
No, there's got
They
to be
might be they
lots of
might
ways.
be they might be a more or less common way. I don't know. I mean, eventually characters can have enough power to pass to another plane, and they can open gates, but
Sure, but what if mirrors are one way only?
that could be.
Yeah, the shade can come in from the mirrors, and maybe there's a whole bunch of like crazy folklore about mirrors and stuff. And
So what if then there are anti-mirrors that pass the other way? That there are mirrors that don't show you reflection.
well,
I think they'd be extremely rare,
yeah,
but
yeah, they'd have to be
maybe
magically crafted.
the mirror that he passed through on the shade side didn't show a reflection, but it was obvious from context that it was a mirror.
Yeah, yeah, framed
Like
as a mirror.
it's framed as a mirror, it's gilt, like you can see it's obviously this is a mirror, but when you stand in front of it, it doesn't show reflection. And that's what he passed through to come here.
I like it. I like it. Ooh, it's creepy. This is some super creepy shit coming up with. At least creepy to me.
Well, that's why we're drinking dark.
That's that you're drinking dark. I'm gonna get into the crimes part of this here now.
Yeah,
Um,
let's do it.
so,
So
oh, go
Ben
ahead.
has the criminal background. Next part of the character building.
Well, before we get to that part, because I think it'll actually be important first, is where the hell does Ben pop out in Navyshla?
Um, so I can be pretty flexible on that. I was trying to think of why Ben would be in. We're starting in
The
not
Crimson